Good afternoon, everybody. Cadet Leatherwood. As y'all know, we have FTX coming up, which one of the events on the FTX is Battle March and Shoot, which is gun range, right? I do remember talking to some of y'all. Y'all weren't very familiar with M4s or the AR platform weapons. So I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of reference and some insights. I know some of y'all are going to be doing PMI tomorrow for PT. But like I said, this is just a little bit more for reference for those that don't really understand the M4/AR-15 weapon system, right? So right here I have my personal one, right? The most common thing I see is people with short arms trying to collapse their buttstock all the way, but then whenever they shoot, their nose is touching their front aperture or rear aperture sight, right? So my biggest recommendation, no matter how tall, short, whatever, have it fully extended. That way, whenever you're holding, you can pull back into your shoulder. It's gonna, you can rest your cheek on the actual buttstock and you can shoot more accurate, right? Next thing, this isn't a CCO that you'll be using, but it is a red dot, so it's pretty much the same thing. I think the biggest thing I see with people on red dots is that whenever they are trying to zero and qualify and all of that, they have their red dot as bright as possible, right? The whole point of a red dot is no matter which way the weapon's leaning, if your red dot's on that target, that's where the bullet's gonna go. A little tip for the zeroing, I know you can barely see it, but you want to try to get your red dot as small but still visible as possible. So you can't really see mine. It is in there, but it's very hard to see. This will help you have a more accurate zero, because if you got a big sight, your grouping might be like that big versus if you got a smaller sight, your grouping might be that big, right? So in the case that your CCO dies and it turns off, your M4 will have a front aperture sight. So these are flip ups, but your M4 will have a fixed one, so it's not going to come down. Your rear aperture sight will fold. So if your CCO ends up dying and you can flip your rear aperture up, you can still see through iron sights and shoot through the glass, right? So now for weapon disassembly and cleaning, making sure your gun is clean is extremely important. Some of the prior service people that are watching this can definitely agree. I know y'all have had the crappy magazines that the Army puts out, and having a dirty gun just doesn't mix well with it, right? So what I usually do is I usually have a little Allen key. You can use a pen, pencil, whatever. You just want something small. Right up in there is, I know it's a little hard to see, is a little spot that you can push in, and on the back side of your AR or your M4, this little piece shall have come out. So if mine's, it's not supposed to come out, but mine's old and crappy. But once you do that, you will now be able to open up your receivers, right? This part of your M4 will be called the upper receiver, and this will be the lower receiver. You can take this one out and separate the two receivers. I don't recommend doing it because then it's just more stuff for you to keep an eye on. So this part right here is what hits the firing pin, which hits the bullet primer, which fires the bullet, right? So if you click it, that's what it does. Inside there, it can get a little grimy because, gravity, it's gonna pull a lot of gunpowder down. So try to keep in there as relatively clean as possible. For those gun freaks out there, this is your buffer tube, right? So to get your buffer tube and buffer spring out there, there is a tiny little pin right in there, and you want to push that pin in. A little difficult to do, but yeah, you now have your buffer spring. This is relatively important to keep clean. Really, you should be keeping your entire gun clean, entire weapon clean, just because you don't want to chance it, right? Now, you have the two spots that you should keep clean. Obviously, inside the mag well, you don't want to make sure, or you want to make sure that everything in there isn't all grimy and sandy and stuff like that, because right around there, inside the mag well, there is a little piece that locks into the magazine to keep it from falling out, right? So, moving on to your upper, you simply just pull. This will take out your charging handle and your bolt. Let me show you the inside of this real quick. So up in here, this is where your bullets will fire from. It goes out towards the end of the barrel, obviously, right? So inside there, there's a little star pattern, I don't know what you want to call it, entryway for the bullet. There's a star pattern spot. And going along the top here is where a lot of your bolt and your charging handle will be sliding. So there's going to be a lot of grimy gunpowder. If they use the oil, it's going to be real nasty up in there. So make sure you clean up in there, because a lot of double feeds and jams happen in this area. Moving on, next part is your charging handle. There is a part in here you want to keep relatively clean, because it locks onto the top of your bolt. These two are the primary things in your M4 that are going to make your weapon shoot efficiently, right? So yeah, try not to lose this. Keep it clean, and if you lose your MRE spoon, you can use this as a spoon. So yeah, the more you know. So next is the fun part. There are a lot of small parts in here, so I would highly recommend doing this on a towel, knowing, you know, where all your parts are. So to start off, there's a tiny little pin right there. You just want to use your fingernail, you can, and pull it out. Mind you, my fingers are already dirty because I went hunting this weekend and I have not cleaned this weapon yet. And I only shot it probably about 15 times, which kind of gives you a representation of how quickly it can get dirty. You pull that pin out, you set it to where you know it, where you can find it. Next, all you have to do is tilt it upside down. You might have to give it a little extra, and you'll get your firing pin. Your firing pin needs to be as clean as possible, because if that has a lot of grubby stuff on it and it gets caught, it's not going to fire the bullet and you're going to have misfires. Next is this little piece right here. What you want to do is you want to turn it sideways and just pull it straight out. All right, cool. And the last part, you just pull this out. Everything inside of there needs to be cleaned. All this stuff needs to be cleaned. Everything needs to be cleaned in this bolt, right? So next, reassembly. You just do everything backwards, right? Put this piece in. Man, this part is a little tricky. So sometimes one of the openings in this part will not let you put your little pin back in, right? So easy way to do it. This does rotate, right? Easy way to do it. If, you know, it's kind of like putting in a USB. You don't know which way it's going to go, right? So you want to try to put it in horizontally again. If it doesn't go in, it's fine. You just rotate and it should slide in easily. And then you're just going to rotate it back to vertical. Now, a good way, or excuse me, we're not there yet. You take your firing pin. You can either go from the back. I don't recommend doing that. I've seen people go from the top. I don't really do that. I usually go from the bottom. It's just a little bit easier for me. All you do is you find the hole that it slides in, and you can just let go. It's going to fall straight in there. It's super loose. Next, you're going to take your tiny little pin, and you just want to slide it back in there, right? Just like that. So now that your bolt's back together, you want to make sure it works, right? A quick little trick is you can pull it out, right? Pump it on your chest, and if you go like that, it should come out. If it doesn't, it means it's a little dirty, hence why I had to do it twice. But you do it again, it'll pop out. See? So now putting everything back together. Your charging handle, the little scoop side needs to be facing inside the gun or inside the weapon, right? And you can't put your bolt in after your sliding or your charging handle because it will not fit. I'm pushing down and it's not going, right? There are little grooves in here where the top of this will go, and you just slide it in and you can let go. I usually tap it just to make sure. You'll then close it, make sure it's closed tight enough to whenever you put your little thing back in, it fits nice and snug, and it is put together. So now your weapons function check, right? So what you'll want to do is you'll flip from safe to semi. You can pull the trigger, and what you'll do is you will not release your finger from the trigger. What you'll do is you'll pull the rack back, let go of it. You don't have to push it back in. It's gonna go back in on its own, so whenever you pull it back, just let go, right? Whenever your finger's still on the trigger, all you wanna do is just let go. It should make a little click, and then you'll click again, and it will fire, right? You'll rack, throw it on safe, that's your weapons function check, right? So now we can go over tap, rack, reassess, right? So let's say, by the way, I am using live rounds because if I use an empty mag, the bolt will stay locked to the rear. So whenever you're starting your battle march and shoot, you pull back, right? You'll pull back on this lever, and then you'll push down on this mag release. You'll push down on it, and you can push the charging handle in, and your bolt will stay open. This is a quick, easy way. You keep your weapon in your workspace, you take the magazine, put it in, tap the bottom, make sure it's locked in, right? And all you gotta do is click it. Now the bolt has been closed. There is a round in the chamber now, so I'm gonna demonstrate a tap, rack, reassess. So let's say you're shooting, boom, boom, boom. Oh no, I got a jam. What you wanna do, tap it, like I said, making sure that your magazine is locked into the lower receiver, and you will rack, a bullet should come flying out, and you'll reassess, get back on target. Now, let's say you have a double feed. Usually a double feed, 2 rounds will be stuck up in there. So just tap, rack, reassess isn't gonna work. You always wanna first try a tap, rack, reassess. If the tap, rack, reassess doesn't work, which is called immediate action, you'll then go to what's called remediate action. So what you'll do is, I have a double feed. You will lock your bolt to the rear using the method I showed you earlier. You will drop the mag out by pressing this button. You can clear it from here or from the mag well. Once you know that your weapon has been cleared, you just slide the magazine back in, press on the release, and you'll be able to re-engage. So that's all there is really to it. It's not that difficult. Making sure your weapon is cleared whenever you're done so that you don't flag somebody. That's really all I got. That's the simple terms. Best of luck to y'all tomorrow learning PMI. It is not hard. Just make sure your magazines are where you want them to be. And watch this video as many times as you need. It doesn't hurt to practice. If you got your own, great. You already know what to do. It's good practice. If not, just study up. You'll do just fine. You have to hit 23 out of 40 to qualify. It's not hard. You'll have targets ranging from 50 meters to 100, 150, 200, 250, and then a 300-meter target. You'll be starting off in the standing unsupported, and then you will move into the prone unsupported, and then you will switch mags. You get 4 10-round mags. After the prone unsupported, you will switch mags, move over to the prone supported. You'll shoot 10 rounds through there. By the way, at the standing unsupported, you only shoot 1 round, and then you'll go straight into the prone. After your prone supported, you'll move over to the kneeling supported, and you'll be changing mags as you're moving. You'll shoot 10 rounds, you'll stand up, reload, and shoot from a standing supported. Once you finish those 10 rounds, you'll, have your weapon cleared. Pretty sure cadre will come up, check it, clear you, and you walk off. So don't stress it, you got plenty of time, and yeah, best of luck to y'all.